wonderful to be young and to know everything.
You want to translate that, Mr. Carrera?
You get it. He does not realize that we are at war. Until Gato makes a move, everything must wait, even business.
Well, the kid's not exactly your seasoned combat vet now, is he, Mr. C? Neither's that chump counselor, Sugarman.
They know nothing, even with all their fancy degrees. Not like me and you, huh, Burnett? To the school of...
Hard knocks.
Hard knocks.
Freeze! Miami Vice!
Vice of Miami podcast, season 5, we're back at last. With Mark and Tim on the mic, they're bringing heat, they're bringing hype. Guest stars rolling through, oh what a ride. Deep dives in music, let the rhythm guide. Dropping facts and stories you won't believe. Episode by episode, you won't wanna leave. Tune in now, feel the thrill and the flow. Vice of Miami, the show you gotta know. Tune in now, feel the thrill and the flow. Vice of Miami, the show you gotta know.
Welcome to the Vice of Miami podcast. I'm your host, Mark, and alongside my co-host, Tim, we're thrilled to take you on a journey through the iconic 80s TV series Miami Vice. Each episode, we delve into the gripping world of detectives Sonny, Crockett, and Rico Tubbs and the entire Vice team, reviewing every episode and uncovering the dark storylines, unforgettable guest stars, and the electrifying music that turned Miami Vice into a cult classic. From trivia and fun facts to the occasional goof, we're here to provide a fresh and engaging perspective, whether you're a longtime fan or new to the series. So sit back, relax, grab your favorite beverage, and join us on show number 97 as we explore Season 5, Episode 1, Hostile Takeover. Tim, we're here. Season 5, we made it. I think we got everything dialed in, but not too many changes.
We're going to do great. It's going to be, as we'll get into this shortly, but it's a great start to the season with this first episode, which was written by Ken Solares, directed by Don Johnson, and the original air date was November 4th, 1988. And it's the 91st episode all over on the series with a production code of 63905-01. And our plot, Crockett as Burnett murders and manipulates his way to the top of the crime organization he works for.
And just to clarify for everybody, we're going to throw the production code in because towards the end of this season, things get kind of mismatched as far as the production codes, where the quote-unquote lost episodes were technically made before the final episode. Correct, Tim?
Yes, that's correct.
So we'll throw that in just for clarification. And by that music, their new Hollywood music, we're going to do this section a little bit different. In the past, we've gone over every guest star and co-star. We're just going to list the guest stars as we do the co-stars, and we'll only pick one of the guest stars to give a quick bio, I guess you could say. So bear with us. This is really the only thing that we're changing. So first up for our guest stars, we have Deborah Fuhrer as Celeste, Joe Santos as Oscar Carrera, Anthony Crivello as Miguel Carrera, Paul Lazar as David Sugarman, Victor Argo as Comandante Emilio Salazar, Comandante, buongiorno, Matt Frewer as Cliff King, and we're going to quickly cover John Polito as Ernesto El Gato Manolo. El Gato, walking around with that old style. John was born... If you know, you know. Tim knows. John was born...
Joe style.
He was born December 29th, out of the gate here, 1950. He's an American actor. Polito had appeared in nearly 200 films and TV shows, including the movies Gangster Wars, which was a debut, Chud, Homeboy, Miller's Crossing, Stuart Little, The Big Lebowski, The Honeymooners, Atlas Shrugged Part 1, Gangster Squad, and his final film, The Maestro. TV appearances include the TV movies Gangster Chronicles, which was his debut in TV, and Death of a Salesman, and the TV series Crime Story, Homicide: Life on the Street, New York Undercover, Seinfeld, Nash Bridges, L.A. Dragnet, Crossing Jordan and Two and a Half Men, The Mentalist, Franklin and Bash, Castle, Modern Family, and his final TV appearance in a 2016 episode of Major Crimes. Polito was in a relationship with his partner Daryl Armbruster from 2000 until Polito's death on September 1st, 2016 in Duarte, California from cancer, which was multiple myelomas at the age of 65. Tim, how about our co-stars?
Co-stars for this episode is Robert Escobar as Emilio, Gordon McConnell as Boyd, Raul San as Jesus, Anthony Bruce as a young attorney, and Anthony Correa as an accountant.
And a little Miami Vice in the news. We're recording this on the 28th of May, and we just passed up a birthday, actually 2 birthdays on May 26th. Philip Michael Thomas and Pam Grier both celebrated their birthday, and they're both 76 years old, so happy belated birthday to you both.
Actor Anthony Crivello, who played Miguel Carrera in this episode, most recently starred in the Omro Heist, which was a limited release on January 20th, 2025. And we're now going to start our discussion for Hostile Takeover. And the new season begins with a birthday celebration of drug dealer Oscar Carrera's young wife, which I don't remember. She's listed as being Celeste. I don't remember her name ever being mentioned.
Exactly.
But this is who we're talking about. It's his young wife. Outside this restaurant, a man later identified as Enrique El Gato Manolo, who gets out of a limo and says he smells the blood of revenge. Back inside, a drunk Carrera rebuffs talking business with his lawyer, and Carrera's son Miguel, who has an obviously strained relationship with Oscar. Oscar takes a breather and goes outside to meet with his head of security, none other than Sonny Burnett. Oscar tells Burnett that both of them are smarter than people with degrees, and Burnett says, yeah, because they came from the school of hard knocks. And then back inside, the celebration continues until El Gato's men enter with automatic weapons and begin shooting up the place. Burnett engages the fight and drops 3 of the goons.
Do you think El Gato did this because they didn't want to talk about hated gypsum board?
I think so, yeah. I believe so. Or maybe that Joe-style gallons of Kalawasi wine on the counter.
Well, El Gato's close for, Key West, going to Fantasy Fest. We digress. So we are now back at OC. We are now at OCB, actually. Marty briefs the team on what went down and tells them that the 3 dead goons were known as mechanics. Tubbs here says a drug war is brewing. Marty tells the team that a dealer named Jose Manolo, who was trying to move in on the Miami drug trade, was assassinated by Cliff King on the orders of Oscar Carrera. He continues by saying OCB intelligence reported that Oscar's biggest problem is his son Miguel. And we also learn here that El Gato is definitely seeking revenge for his brother's death. Marty wants the team to lean on their confidential informants to track down El Gato. Trudy asks about Sonny. Marty tells her that they lost track of him after he stopped being a shooter for Manolo. And he reminds the team that Crockett is wanted for the murder of a cop. Stan interjects that the cop was dirty and worked for Manolo, and then Marty replies it doesn't change the situation, which is true. He's still a cop killer. Tubbs then speaks privately with Marty in his office and tells him that the guy who took out 3 of El Gato's men were described by witnesses who looked like Sonny. gave the description. Marty tells Tubbs that he needs a man on the inside.
I need a minute, Lieutenant. Stan and I went to the restaurant where the hit went down and talked to some of the help.
And?
This is an eyewitness description of the guy who took out 3 of El Gato's shooters. Sandy blonde hair, 160 pounds, shot military style. Does that sound familiar?
I need a man inside.
I need a man inside. So now we're at the Carrera home, and Burnett is eyeballing Oscar's wife. Inside, Oscar meets with his men, and Miguel tells his father that they need to move in on El Gato. Oscar replies that he will pick the time and the place to exact revenge. The discussion then turns to the need for a new fleet of Scarabs and DC-9s and Gulfstreams to double the load and profits. Oscar asks Burnett about this, and he agrees, but says planes are quicker. However, he cautioned that pirates blow planes out of the sky. So, given that, Oscar orders 3 boats, and Miguel disagrees. Oscar tells Miguel that one day he will run the biz, but not today. He orders him to get 2 new bodyguards. Miguel tells Burnett that Oscar has gone soft over the years. Burnett recognizes that Miguel is business-minded and tells him that he has a few ideas on how to hurt El Gato. Another guy named Dog Patch, which I believe is Cliff King, was listening in on this conversation from behind a wall, and he approaches Burnett and wants to do business with him. Burnett declines, and then Dogpatch offers him some muscle. Burnett retorts that muscle is for people who cannot negotiate. Dogpatch reminds Burnett that he is the one that runs transportation ops for Oscar.
And I'm thinking here that Dogpatch definitely sees what's going on and wants to kind of partner up with Crockett here.
Move on in.
Mm-hmm. So now at OCB, Tubbs has a conversation with Marty, who tells him that homicide reported a munitions train that was broken into on its way to Fort Benning, and 2 soldiers were killed. They took some M16s and Stingers, and Marty tells Tubbs to find out if it was El Gato or Carrera that made this heist. Meanwhile, somewhere at a spa, a dark-haired guy gets into a hot tub with another guy. Man, Burnett sidles up here. In fact, we don't really know, and because we just see his shoes and suit pants, but it ends up being Burnett, and he's thinking about what he said to Miguel about how to hurt El Gato. He then kills the dark-haired guy. Later at a funeral home, we learn that this guy that Burnett killed was a special friend to El Gato. And El Gato here blames the Carreras for this death and wants more blood. He states that he will not rest until the Carrera family rots in hell. And now at the Carrera home, Miguel speaks with his stepmother. This was kind of stepmother, but he's the same age as him. You think, Tim? I think it's
yes,
definitely,
for
probably
sure.
even younger. So anyway, he's speaking with his stepmother when Oscar enters and tells her to get out. Oscar here is pretty much PO'd that Miguel is exacting revenge on El Gato. The two have words, and Oscar wants to have a fist fight with Miguel, and Miguel cowardly walks away. So Miguel's trying to take care of business in the way he thinks, and Oscar isn't having it, and you could definitely tell there's friction. So meanwhile, at an unknown location somewhere, El Gato has a conversation in his limo with one of his men, who tells him that the killer of his special friend was Burnett. El Gato here orders a hit on Burnett and to bring him the body. So the guy in the limo asks El Gato, "What's in it for me?" And El Gato tells him that he could be his partner. Did we ever see this guy?
Honestly, I don't remember.
I don't remember. So I'm thinking maybe it could be Dogpatch too. I don't know. Unless we're wrong.
We'll see. So now we're back at Oscar's home, and Miguel tells Oscar that they need to hit El Gato now. Oscar declines and tells him he will pick the spots. He tells Miguel if they kill El Gato, he'll be replaced by another leader. Miguel tells Oscar that Oscar is just afraid of El Gato, and he will not stand for this. Dogpatch comes in and tells Oscar that someone is here to see him, so Oscar asks Burnett to join him for this conversation. The man he is meeting with is Cooper. Tubbs is shocked when Burnett is introduced as head of his career security. Burnett tells Cooper that he understood Cooper worked for Jose Manolo. Tubbs replies yes, but says he does not trust El Gato. Burnett tells Cooper that he also worked for Manolo and doesn't remember him in the Manolo crew and voices his suspicions. Tubbs retorts that he should be suspicious because Burnett's war with El Gato is not top secret. Burnett says that irregardless, they will conduct business as usual. Oscar asks Cooper how much weight he wants to move. As they end this meeting, Burnett gives Cooper a hard look.
Mr. Cooper, I'm sorry for keeping you waiting.
It's all right. I was just checking out the view.
Mr. Burnett, he handles our security.
Mr. Cooper, is it? I understand you used to do business with Manolo.
True. But I don't trust his brother, El Gato.
Mr. Cooper. I used to work for Manolo. Why is it I don't remember you from his place, Mr. Cooper?
If anyone should be suspicious, it is I, Burnett. That little rumble between you and El Gato is not exactly top secret around here, man.
Maybe El Gato has a problem with us. But we're conducting business as usual.
So, Mr. Cooper, how much weight are we talking about?
What are your capacities, man?
So then Burnett tells Cooper he will get back with him after he checks out his references. Cooper asks Burnett how long he has worked for Carrera and says that he looks familiar from the club scene. He throws suggestive words like club, Miami, been married as a way to jog Crockett's memory. Sonny begins to remember images of his Crockett self. He then asks Cooper if he is writing a book about him, and Cooper denies this. Later on, Oscar's wife is dancing by the pool while Burnett and Miguel watch in the background. Miguel then engages her in a dance and kisses her. Plot thickens on that end.
Yeah, getting creepy. That's your mother. That's your stepmom, dude. So now at an unknown location, pretty much a beach scene, Burnett here begins to remember conversations he had with his son Billy, Tubbs, and his marriage to Caitlin. It's kind of quick flashback, a few seconds piece. Oscar's wife comes out of the ocean, and in a conversation between the two, we learn that Burnett was setting up Miguel when he had her get Miguel all hot and bothered. We learn that Burnett's plan is to tear apart Miguel and Oscar and then take over the business. She asks him what will happen to her when he becomes number one. He tells her champagne and roses, talking her all up. She professes her love for Burnett, but tells him just don't turn her around. So now at another unknown location, Burnett and Dogpatch arrive in a Lamborghini, and Dogpatch introduces Burnett to Oscar's transportation crew, who are getting paid very little to do this dangerous work. Burnett kind of gives him a sales pitch of, working with me, I'll get you paid. He tells him he's planning to overthrow the Carreras and rebuild the organization. He offers them profit-sharing plan where they get 10% of each load, and he gets 25% as the administrator, and the rest goes back into the business. Sounds like a good plan. He guarantees they're going to be millionaires in 2 years, and these guys still have doubts, but are all in once Dogpatch tells them that Burnett is connected.
Cliff here tells me you boys are tired of working for wages. Well, listen up. I'm going to stage a little palace revolt against the Carreras. I'm talking about building an organization where the men that do the work are the ones that share in the profit. Let me be a little more specific. Every load that a man brings in, he's going to take 10% profit. All the rest goes plowed back into the business. As management, I'll take 25%. But the short of it is, each and every one of you gentlemen will be millionaires in about 2 years.
Damn. Never thought I'd see the day when dope dealers would organize. Why not? Don't you boys take all the risks?
So now, back at the Carrera estate, we find Oscar's wife in bed watching TV with a gun close by. Miguel walks in and she asks what he wants, and he says, "You know," and they get it on only to be caught by Oscar. Dun, 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 dun. Oscar starts to beat down Miguel, who grabs the gun and shoots him dead right there, and Oscar went tumbling down the stairs. Burnett enters and takes the gun from Miguel, who is sobbing uncontrollably. The next scene is back at the home, obviously post-funeral. Miguel is tying one on and tells Burnett it was just an accident. Oscar's wife is in a hurry to change out of her funeral clothes, which angers Miguel. He cannot believe she can move on so quickly. She retorts that she didn't shoot Oscar. Miguel blames her for Oscar's death and slaps her around. Burnett tries to settle Miguel down. He tells Oscar's wife to lend Miguel a sympathetic ear. She tells Burnett she is tired of that loser, but he tells her they will need Miguel as a front man. She is scared, but Burnett says not to worry. She tells Burnett he is becoming like the Carreras. He retorts that they are a joke and he is now on top of the world. He tells her to babysit Miguel as he has a meeting to attend. As he leaves, he gives Miguel some Coke to enjoy and then leaves by chopper.
But what if Miguel likes Pepsi rather than Coke?
There'd be a problem then.
Next up, we've got the chopper landing at an unknown airstrip, it looks like, and Dogpatch introduces Burnett to Commandant Emilio Salazar, who's a quote-unquote neighbor to the south. Burnett here tells Emilio that he's taking a risk being in the U.S. since he's under indictment. Emilio acknowledges that Burnett is now running the career operations. He tells Emilio he's expanding the business and he needs access to Emilio's airstrips, and he's also going to need help with the trucking operations. Salazar here appreciates Burnett's directness, and he asks Burnett for help with El Gato, who offered Salazar a prime deal, but Emilio doesn't trust him. Burnett is asked to grease El Gato and agrees to this tall order. So Salazar tells him that the drugs are going to be transported with fruits and vegetables, so they won't get stopped at the border, and then Burnett agrees to this deal. Back at the Carrera home, Burnett returns, and Oscar's widow is waiting for him. He tells Dogpatch that the Cooper deal is going down later on. If Cooper brings the good faith money, they're in business. Burnett knows there's something about Cooper, but he can't place his finger on it. So mind is getting jogged here. Dogpatch tells Burnett that Cooper's references are all checked out. Oscar's widow here is pretty PO'd that he's still talking business, coming home late, and throws a bottle at Burnett while saying no one keeps her waiting. Burnett tells her to have another bottle of champagne and then gives her some love. Back at OCB, Tubbs tells Marty that the meet and greet with Burnett needs to be a solo operation. Marty tells him it's too big, but Tubbs says that they need to gain their trust. Marty asks him about Crockett, and Tubbs that he says he's trying to, he'll still try to get through to him. And Marty tells Tubbs that the situation is too dangerous and unpredictable. I mean, especially since, Crockett here is waxing all these cops and everybody. Tubbs agrees and tells Marty that Sonny is not Sonny anymore. If he gets in the way, Tubbs will have to handle it. Marty agrees to this. With his classic stare down, the scene just fades away. Perfect Castillo stare.
Back at the Carrera home, and it's his host Nookie, Miguel catches them in the act. He grabs the girl and points a gun at Burnett. Miguel tells Burnett that he is not as stupid as he thinks. He figured out that Burnett usurped his girl and made Miguel kill his father and is now trying to take over operations. We see someone else in the background. Burnett denies the accusation and tells Miguel that Miguel, is the one who is in charge and Burnett will follow his orders. As he offers Miguel some coke from a new shipment, one of the bodyguards shoots Miguel. He then shoots at Burnett, who returns fire and kills the bodyguard. Dogpatch enters the scene, and Burnett tells him that Miguel hired the dead bodyguard whose resume would have El Gato as a reference. Dogpatch tells Burnett that they no longer have to worry about Miguel. And now Dogpatch greets Cooper at a Miami lighthouse. Cooper enters the lighthouse and is met by Burnett. Cooper asks where Oscar is at, and Burnett tells him that Oscar fell down the stairs. Burnett assures Cooper he is in good hands. Cooper has the show money, and then Tubbs asks Burnett if he recognizes him. Burnett replies that he is Cooper, and Tubbs says, "It's me, Rico." And then Burnett has flashbacks and says the name Rico, and Tubbs says yes. And Burnett says, "Sure, I know you. You are Tubbs." The scene shifts outside the dog patch and the other crew members. Suddenly, they hear shots fired inside the lighthouse. Dog patch and crew rush in, and it's to be continued.
Sonny, don't you recognize me?
Sure. You're Cooper.
Sonny, it's me, Rico. I love you, man.
Rico.
Yeah.
Yeah, sure. I know you. You're Tubbs.
Now it's time for the ratings. IMDb gives this an 8.2. Tim, our first episode for season 5. What do you say?
Mark, I totally agree with this rating. What a great start to the final season. Crockett is still his alter ego, Sonny Burnett, who is playing the Carreras against each other to destroy them and take over as the head of their drug crime family. Well, it worked, as both Oscar and Miguel both ended up dead. Oscar's new young wife helped Burnett in this scheme. She attended to the needs of Oscar, Miguel, and Burnett throughout this episode. El Gato is still on the heels of Burnett, and he killed El Gato's special friend. In this episode, the OCB team appeared very minimally, and we're going to just have to see what happens next episode. The plot closes with Burnett making deals with Emilio Salazar and assuming the throne with Dogpatch as his right-hand man. This episode ended as a cliffhanger with Burnett remembering more about who he is and what he says, and when he says the name Tubbs. So we know that the memory's really getting jogged here. Shots ring out in the lighthouse. But the question here is, did Sonny return to Crockett and they created a ruse for the benefit of Dogpatch at all? We have to wait until the next episode. However, a great start to season 5.
Yes, Tim, great episode. I like the season 5 style so far. Still, at least in this storyline, even from the end of season 4 into this, still kind of dark and less campy-ish from, season 1 and season 2 being the flashy Miami Vice. The only negative about this episode is the El Gato character. Too over the top, flamboyant, obviously, for a big-time kingpin. I think this could have been the El Gato could have been more of a regular drug kingpin guy, if there really is one, but I don't know. Good thing we see little of him so far. Great play on the Burnett side. He's living high on the hog. This was sort of expected in the daddy-son conflict. You're the old guy drug dealer. I'm the new, fresh out of college type.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, educated, exactly. So it's kind of expected. And now we know for sure that OCB knows that Crockett's alive and well, so to speak. He's definitely busting a lot of caps and a lot of asses. I've got a thought about the Burnett character that's going to have to wait until next episode, and this kind of goes back several seasons, so just wait for that. Again, good drug story, easy to follow, not too many twists. We definitely see the Vice team, like you said, although minimally, and the Castillo stare makes a return for season 5. I just hope Burnett has a trip to the clinic in store to get a VD shot after stooping Celeste, who's been stooping the dad and stooping the son, apparently. Just saying. Another cliffhanger, again, Tim, I agree. Strong start to season 5.
So now we have music for this episode, and the first up is Underneath the Radar by Underworld, and that was at the opening party. And Walk and Talk Like Angels by Tony Childs, and that's when Celeste was dancing by the pool.
And remember that Jan Hammer is no longer involved in season 5 for Miami Vice. We've got Tim Truman taking over. There was some underlying background music that wasn't really noted, but nothing was really listed for him in this episode. All right, let's check out the Goofs, fun facts, and locations. Our first location is the Cape Florida Lighthouse, Bill Baggs Florida State Park in Key Biscayne, and that's the light tower scenes. And if I'm remembering correctly, isn't this from season 2 as well, when Caroline and Billy they were walking along the beach when they were quote unquote at the safe house, whatever?
Oh yeah, it's possible. Yeah.
I think that's the only lighthouse in that area, so it had to be. Tim, what do you got?
We have our first goof of season 5. Manolo is repeatedly referred to as Jose Manolo in this episode, but in mirror image, his name was Miguel Manolo. Likewise, when Castillo is reviewing events since mirror image, he refers to James Hagovich as James Yagovich.
Oops, continuity. The continuity editor didn't catch that. And next fun fact, the gritty and envelope-pushing tone of the 5th season began with this episode, with the introduction of more regular use of harsh language such as bitch and bastard, which was uncommon on television in the late 80s.
And we have another fun fact. Season 5 started late due to a writer's strike that occurred earlier in the year. Filming started in late September, not in late July, early August, as was the norm for previous seasons. This delay led to the scrapping of a 22nd episode from the final season titled The Edge.
And covering the trivia, Tim, we didn't have anything from last episode, so what do you got for us today?
For this episode's question is, when Burnett meets with Emilio Salazar, what did Salazar tell him that the drugs would be transported with in order to move smoothly across the border? You can post your answers on this episode's Facebook post, or you can email us at miamivice@duck.com.
And come on, people, start giving us some answers. The only one we had so far was TG back in season 2 and 3, so start playing along, people. Now time for mindful music. We'd like to share a quick clip of a song that we think will send some peaceful or inspiring vibes your way. With the show, as well as our own lives, we may have many issues or stressful times that we encounter. With these song choices, we can hopefully quiet the mind and make those issues less of an obstacle for your day. The song choice for this episode is, I made a mashup of military music. Even though we paid tribute on our last episode for Memorial Day, which we just passed this past Monday in the United States. We're recording this on Monday. I'd just like to continue on a little bit, just to, extend a little more honor to those that gave the biggest sacrifice and to their families. Enjoy it, and you get a bonus trivia point if you can guess the movie the last sound clip is taken from.
Over hill, over dale, we will hit the dusty trail, and those caissons go rolling along. In and out, hear them shout, cows are marching all about, and those caissons go rolling along. For it's high, high in the field artillery, count out your numbers loud and strong, 2, 3, 4, 5, 2, 3, and wherever you go, you will always know that those caissons go rolling along.
Lord God, and guide the men who fly through
voices in the sky. Be with them always in the air, in darkening storms or sunlight fair. Oh, hear us when we lift our prayer for those in peril in the
Thanks to all of you for tuning into the Vice of Miami podcast. We hope you enjoyed our look into the world of Miami Vice. If you love what you heard, please leave us a review on your favorite podcast platform. It really helps us out. Don't forget to follow us on social media for updates and more Miami Vice goodness. You can find us on YouTube, Instagram, and Facebook at the Vice of Miami podcast. Our next episode, number 98, Redemption in Blood. Until next time, stay stylish and keep the Vice alive. Now.
Well, what do you say we call it a day, pal?